Hi, my name is James Shepard, and I want to talk to you in this video about one of these questions that gets asked all the time, which is, what is your rate? What is your rate? Now, let's clarify, this is not actually an objection. This is a buyer sign, but it's a very unique buyer sign because you actually can't answer it usually with a question. At least I've never figured one out. Because, sometimes if people ask me like a buyer sign like, can I get a new terminal? I would say, would you like a new terminal? And I would do like a porcupine question and I would try to move the sale forward. But when they say, what's your rate? Now that normally happens like earlier on. And so it's really kind of funny. I've had kind of an evolution with this particular buyer sign / objection. It does usually get asked in the form of an objection. In other words, they don't usually say, oh, I'm so interested. What is your rate? It's normally like, well, what's your rate? It's usually asked in this very like combative way. And so I've had this weird evolution with it. At the beginning when I started selling, I didn't want to answer the question, so I tried to elude it and I would be like, well, I don't have that kind of, sensitive information. Or I would say like, well, it's customized for every merchant. I always try to, well, then I realized, wait a second, James, why are you doing that? Just answer the question, right? So what do I mean by answer the question? Well, here's what I realized. What I realized is that when merchants ask the question, they actually don't understand what they're asking at all. They don't have a clue. They don't understand rates and fees, not a bit. So why am I so scared to give them the information? They're not going to understand it anyway. So what I actually do with that question now is one of two things. Either if I'm selling 4-tier pricing, which a lot of you are probably selling where you have like a qualified check card rate, I give them the qualified check card rate. And I say, well, as you know, there's different rates and fees, but 0.59% is the qualified check card rate. I just answer the question. And they don't know what to do with that because nobody's ever actually answered the question before. So then they usually try to say something like, oh, well, I think ours is lower. They have no idea what to say. And then you're like, sure, let's check. You have a statement handy? Let's take a look at it. So you just go right into it. So you can do it that way. The other way you can do it is you could use instantquotetool.com and you could go into it that way when they're like, what's your rate? And you're like, you know what? I tell you what I'll do for you. I will give you one better than that. I will actually email you a PDF document that has all of my rates. Is that okay with you? And they're like, sure. And then you're like, great, let me email it over to you real quick. What's your email address? Always get the email address first because they're not going to want to give it to you later, right? So get the email address first, but you're like, what's your email address? You write it down, you're like, cool. So let me send this over to you real quick. So let's see, it's a pizza shop. What's your monthly volume that you do? And again, you just go through that little form, put the information in there, move forward, and then at the end, you're like, cool, I'm going to go ahead and email this to you right now, but let's go through it because I know when I email it to you, there's a lot of stuff on there. I want to go over it with you. So the first thing we have is, and you just start going through it, and you make the sale. So when somebody asks you what the rate is, the worst thing you can do is try to not answer their question. It makes you look dishonest at worst, or at best it makes you look like an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about. So you have to answer the question and you have to move forward with it. But if you answer it by using the instant quote tool or just blurting out a rate for something, they're not going to understand what it is anyway. That's going to be better because then you can move right into getting a statement or getting the information you need in order to do a full savings proposal, which you can then send them, and then you're all set. My name is James Shepard. Thanks for watching this video.